You're on the air. Unbelievable. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, dude, what's up?
Oh, yeah, so I was raised evangelical in a Christian Zionist church. So I'm just getting past the idea that the Jews aren't God's chosen people, you know? And, you know, that, like, being a Jew is actually inward, that circumcision is of the heart. This is all kind of new to me. And I'm trying to get to the bottom of, you know, what is the right faith, I guess, what is the right organization. I'm going to, like, Catholics, Orthodox.
Okay.
But can I just hear your argument for why you think when the Great Schism happened, the Orthodox Church maintained the Apostolic succession and is still the one true Church of Christ?
Yeah, we have an article at my website that's good for that in terms of the teachings of the 7 ecumenical councils. So what we share with the Roman Catholics is the first 7, even you could argue the 8th council as well, because originally the Roman Catholic Church did approve of the Eastern 8th, and then that later switched. But this is called the canons. And the reason this is important is that the canons reflect the mindset of the church in each of these councils, right? And so if you go and look through the canons, and I don't mean every one of them, I mean the list that I have in this article here at my site, you can see that the attitude of the Roman, of the church in each of these centuries in these councils is not the Vatican I papal mindset. So this, I think, is one of the strongest. It's not the only argument, but it's one of the strongest. If a person was saying, hey, how would I decipher between Rome and Orthodoxy? I think this is one of the strongest ones. Now, on top of that, I would say go and read what's called the Alexandria document. The Alexandria document is a recent papally approved theological commission investigating the first 1,000 years of Christianity in terms of the Roman Catholic versus the Orthodox view. So it's actually it's Francis's approved theological commission to investigate and basically cede ground to us. That's what this amounts to. And there was a previous commission called the Chieti document that came out in 2016 or 18. But even though it had some really great admissions in it, this newest one is like a whole new level. I mean, it's like literally admitting basically 90 to 95% of the main arguments that the Orthodox have made against papism in the last 1,000 years. It's basically admitting almost all of it. So if you go read the Alexandria document, which I have linked right here in this live stream that we did with Sneck and David, and if you read, it's not long. It's like 15 pages, printed out 15 pages. Basically, you'll see Rome admits most of our points. And if that's the case, and if it's the case that the canons of the councils in the first 7 centuries, if they basically make the Orthodox view on ecclesiology, if they show it to be true, then I can't think of a better way to prove that the Orthodox Church is the continuation versus the Roman Catholic Church.
Well, thanks, man. I'm gonna look into that. Because I've been struggling with like where to start, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, thanks. So I have another question for you. Once again, being raised in an evangelical church, I think you referred to it as penal substitution, as being like the theory for the death and resurrection of Christ. But I guess to sum up your argument, are you saying that Jesus actually reconciled man and God by offering himself or offering humanity using his human nature to the Godhead? Is that what it is?
Well, the reconciliation is not the way that the Protestant penal substitutionary people think of it. The reconciliation is the healing of that nature. So God doesn't need anything. We don't pay God off because he's offended. So sin doesn't actually hurt God. It doesn't cause him to literally have to, destroy people. He is just, but it doesn't cause any lack in him or, any change in him or whatever. Everything that God does, he does for our good and for our benefit. So even the death on the cross that the Son of God undergoes in terms of his human nature having the human soul severed from the human body, that death is ultimately remediary. It's healing for us. That the whole purpose of all of it, even the death, is to heal it and to restore the nature. And you say, well, how would the death restore the nature? Because the Son of God also wanted to enter into the spiritual realm, the realm of the soul or of the dead, as the divine person to that soul. So when he goes into Hades, which is the kingdom of the dead, he does so to destroy and restore our nature, right, by destroying death, by destroying Hades. So he now has the keys to death and Hades, as John says in the Apocalypse. Thus, the resurrection heals and restores our nature and actually also deifies it. It takes it beyond where it was, even in Eden. So that's why the whole process is necessary. And the offering is of the human nature, not just to, it's not to, quote, pay off a debt, because you can't pay God off. God doesn't require, if God doesn't require bulls, the blood of goats and bulls, he's not going to be paid off by a human body, you see. So this is not ultimately actually a paying off of, well, you owe me the hell debt, but if you pay me a human sacrifice, I'll forgive your hell debt. It doesn't work like that. That's a pagan attitude. The offering is the healing, and the second person of the Godhead is the warrior God who goes into Hades to destroy the angel of death, Satan, in his kingdom, to then restore what was destroyed and divided, human nature, and the death that occurs in severing the soul from the body. That is then restored and healed via every one of the actions of Christ, both the incarnation, teaching, his offering on the cross, and the descent into Hades, and the resurrection and ascension. All of those things are part of one redemptive act that all necessitates one another. Okay? They don't make sense without the other ones. The incarnation doesn't make sense without the resurrection. Descent into Hades doesn't make sense without the death. You see, they all go together. And a lot of times, a lot of sects, a lot of cults, they'll focus on one aspect, as if, you know, I mean, this is a criticism, for example, of Roman Catholicism. Latin Catholicism, for example, focuses on Christ on the cross. Yeah, Christ is on the cross, but guess what? He's also resurrected, and he also, what about the harrowing of Hades? Oh, sorry, we're the papal church. We totally forgot about that, except for a few uniate churches. But trust us, we have the fullness of the faith. But by the way, we also didn't have the fullness of the faith because, as Bishop Barron says, we need to recover the fullness of the faith with the Eastern tradition. Well, wait a minute. How'd you have the fullness if you need to recover it? So, I mean, it's just totally different. I mean, they don't have the doctrine of recapitulation. I mean, Roman Catholic Church does not teach that. You can find some Roman Catholic people who like that idea, but so what? How are you the true church if you lost that, you see? So, in other words, you have to understand the descent into Hades and all of that as the quote offering, because it's all part of that. It's not like the Protestant idea of one person paying off another person. Furthermore, the whole Protestant classical notion of this is heterodox because it says that the Son was damned to pay the eternal debt to the Father. Well, the second person of the Godhead can't be damned. I don't know if you know that, but that's called anti-Trinitarianism.
So what did Jesus mean when he said, why have you forsaken me?
Yeah, he's quoting the Psalms, and he's talking about the actual undergoing of death in his human nature. What is death? The severing of the soul from the body. Okay? So he really is experiencing death in his human nature. And to him, he was undergoing what we will all go through, right? But he's the subject there. The only subject of all the incarnate actions is the second person of the Godhead, the Logos. The Logos can't be damned. So let's think about what it means to be damned. Cut off from God, no divine presence anymore. His will is set against you now if you're damned. So are we going to say that the Logos, the second person of the Godhead, is no longer part of the Trinity? That he no longer possesses the perichoresis, the indwelling of the other two persons? Did the Father cease to indwell the Son when the Son was damned? This is crazy. And this is actually why, if you go back to, what's his name? The Socinians, I think. Like when Calvin was debating with Servetus and these people, and then you get the Socinians, like they're just sort of going the next level of this. Well, hey, wait a minute. So if the Son is eternally punished, then you can't have, it doesn't make any sense. We've got to be anti-Trinitarian. It leads to anti-Trinitarianism, you see.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing I noticed too. Is I went into a cathedral and I saw there was such a emphasis put on the death of Christ on the cross, like it was everywhere, all the crucifixes.
Yeah, the Latin Church, the Papal Church lost the significance of the descent into Hades and the harrowing of Hades and the resurrection and participating in the deified flesh of Christ. That's why they teach that the grace of the Eucharist is a supernatural creature and not uncreated grace like Ephesus and Cyril say it is.
Oh, so does the Orthodox Church not believe in the transubstantiation?
They do. That's what I just said. It's uncreated grace that you're partaking of. The deified flesh, Cyril says, in the Eucharist. The Roman Catholic Church says, we believe that the Eucharist is body, blood, soul, and divinity. Oh, okay. What does it mean when you say divinity? Supernatural creature. Because there's no such thing as a supernatural creature. It doesn't exist. It's the uncreated energies, as Cyril and Ephesus say. You can't eat the essence of God. There's no such thing as a supernatural creature.
So do you see the Eucharist as being like more symbolic than?
No, I just said it's the uncreated grace. That's the exact opposite of what I just said.
Sorry, I didn't hear the first
it's okay.
part. You cut off.
It's fine. It's the deified flesh of Christ in the Eucharist, which is the uncreated energies that deify. The uncreated energies deified the human nature in the resurrection. That's what I'm eating in the Eucharist. That's why Cyril says, and that's why Ephesus says, are we eating the body and blood of some man? Or is it the deified flesh of the God-man?
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Great questions. Thank you for those.